Folks, we have reached 1,000 subscribers. Thank you all so much for the fantastic support. It's an absolute privilege to have you folks as followers. So, as promised, I'm going to give away the 180A. Hang around to the end of the video and I shall pick a random winner from my Cardano for Beginners video. So stay tuned. Hello everybody and welcome back to Crypto Simplified. We have hit 1,000 subscribers and to celebrate I shall have a different voice on my channel for the very first time. So people put your hands together for Neer Varshney, journalist based in Delhi, writing for Amsterdam-based publication The Next Web. Neer, over to you. Could you please say hi to the Crypto Simplified family, introduce yourself, tell us what is happening in the world of crypto and where you feel you fit in the whole crypto equation.
All right, thank you for the introduction, Mark. So I'm Neer and I am from India, basically grew up here. I got into cryptocurrency in late 2015. So there was time that I was already writing and someone introduced me to Cointelegraph, which is now a very major publication in cryptocurrency, I suppose. So at the time there was the editor, George Gore. So a friend introduced me to him and said that if I would like to write about Bitcoin. At the moment, I didn't really know about Bitcoin much. I didn't really know what it could do. And then they said that, oh, can you write about it? And then I just said yes. And then it just went through from there. And I started getting paid in Bitcoin. And so that's how I really got into cryptocurrency from then. And I've been here ever since. So I started writing for Cointelegraph from January 2016. And I wrote until 2018. So did a lot of interesting stuff there. For my first article, I was talking to Anthony Diorio, the co-founder of Ethereum. And then we were talking about how, Ethereum is trying to overtake Bitcoin in a sense, and it was really an interesting conversation. So I've been lucky in the sense that I got kind of a start where I was already talking to influential people and getting to learn crypto from the people who really mattered. And so I did that for a long time, and alongside, of course, investing in cryptocurrency has been fun, although I'm a really bad trader and I've not really made a lot of profits on it. So, but it's still interesting to do it, in that sense. And then we decided to do an ICO ourselves and then, try to do a blockchain startup as well. So that's when I joined Velx.id as well to help them with partnership and stuff like that. And then became part of a core team member there. And the idea was to, do a blockchain identity startup in India because there's a, kind of a really gross problem of identity theft in India, particularly, and fraud. Mm-hmm. So that's what was interesting about it. But we didn't want to go through the usual ICO way that people usually go with, not just raise an overwhelming amount of money in one go and then just not do anything. So we have been trying to kind of cap our sale in that way and then, go about making the product at the same time and make a difference with blockchain technology. Okay. And then I started writing about cryptocurrency at the Next Web for their new division called Hard Fork, where we basically cover cryptocurrency related news and everything.
Oh, fantastic. Thanks for that. So, you've given me a lot of information, so we're going to work down it. So just give the viewers a few bite-sized pieces of information. So first, since you've mentioned that you're in cryptocurrency, you're living in India, this is possibly the big question that everyone on my channel would actually like to get more information about. What's actually happening in India regarding cryptocurrency? Should we be scared? Should we be optimistic? What are the facts telling us that's actually going to be happening?
So it has been really chaotic in India in the past few months, especially, but pretty much ever since, because the government has never really, unlike other countries where they're like, no, we want to ban it, no, we want to keep it. But in India, they have been so confused about it. The government just does not have a clear answer even till date that, what do they actually want to do about cryptocurrencies? And that's why it has been so chaotic ever since, like RBI came up with the first circular, I think in 2013, where they said that they are warned against cryptocurrency and the risks involved, but then it didn't really go anywhere. So what's happening right now is that, when the RBI ruling actually came, then there were so many people who were frantically calling us up and they were like, oh, what do we do now? What do we do now? Because ultimately, in India, it is still not banned. Like, a lot of people believe that cryptocurrency have been banned in India, but they have not been, in fact. It's just the banks that have been asked that they can't work with cryptocurrency businesses anymore. So It's of course a major challenge, especially for exchanges, because if you can't convert your cryptocurrency into fiat, then a lot of people won't want to trade anymore. So that's why a lot of people believe that it's been banned, even though it has not been. But now that alternatives are also coming up, that someone said that you can now use PayPal and connect it to your exchange. There, I was reading in news about that. That there is something that's a possibility that some exchanges are exploring it at least. So yeah, it's a bit chaotic right now, but I think a solution is going to be worked around, and I don't think that you're going to see cryptocurrency trading stop in India. Most of the exchanges and most of the businesses, including us, have found ways around it for now. So unless government comes up and says that no cryptocurrencies, I think it's going to keep going like this. So like Zappe has been doing, and what Unocoin has been doing, that now you're seeing more crypto to crypto trading instead of crypto to fiat. Now you can do BTC against ETH, against IOTA, and then people are seeing crypto as different currencies with themselves, and that's really interesting as well. And the thing about GST as well, that if Indian government decides to charge cryptocurrencies as commodities and then tax them, I think that's going to be a really good thing as well. A lot of people will be dissuaded, of course, that an 18% tax is a lot, but I think it will work out in terms of trading cryptocurrencies in a defined, regulated way, especially for a country like India, where it makes a lot of economic sense for you to use a currency without borders and then use it against INR. It's good for your economy. Why would you want to ban it?
Thanks. So carrying on from what you're saying about banning and regulation, we know that we had this hearing on Friday about cryptocurrencies. Lots of the cryptocurrency exchanges were pitching their case to the government, telling them why they believe that the RBI circular from earlier this year is actually not good for the space. So news came out that this whole hearing has been pushed till the 11th of September. So what do you think is actually going to be happening in the interim period? Do we need any reason to be worried? Or do you think there's something positive that can actually come from this?
I think what's going to come out positive is that it's actually got the government talking about it. Because if things keep getting stalled, then you're not going to come out with clear regulations, and that's always bad for you in long term. So this is what happened in the US and Japan and everywhere else as well. If you have noticed, that most of these countries were earlier like just ban it. That's what just like Nike. That's what their goal was. But then now, if you see their motive and their regulations, they are changing that towards regulating it. In the US, for example, Circle, Coinbase, these companies are now saying that we are going to be a regulated financial institution, and that's really great. Same in Japan as well, and South Korea as well. They are forming to allow ICOs in a regulated way, and exchanges in a regulated way, and the same is going to happen for India ultimately. So there is no if this had not happened, if the RBI circular didn't come, then there was not probably another 2 years would have gone the same way as it was now. But now everyone is talking about cryptocurrencies, so and it has got everyone talking, and everyone knows about it, and ultimately the government has to define the regulations in that sense. So I think there's definitely something positive to come out of it. And the negative is, of course, that for the time being, at least the trading is going to be really low, and I think it has been low for the past few weeks, at least since the Supreme Court as well, because people are really, they don't want to trade against people in India. Are really scared, to be honest. When it comes to government, they don't want to go against government. Most of the people, the government says it's not good, they're gonna believe it. That's not good, and especially the RBI, which is known to be a more authoritative agency than even the government itself. So yeah, so it has both positives and negatives, and I think whatever the result come out, it's at least good in the sense that it's defined.
Great. No, thanks. And I actually want to carry on from one of your points about education, because that's something a lot of us in the cryptocurrency community are a little scared of. We're scared that people are getting involved without actually doing their research. They don't really know what cryptocurrency is. They just want to make money off Bitcoin. So we've all identified as education being a very key aspect of going forward. And when it comes to education, it's about everyone in the system, from the very top in government to the normal investors. We know that Andreas Antonopoulos has given a speech in front of the Canadian Senate where he sort of explained, and like an open panel session, they can ask the questions about the major doubts that they have with cryptocurrency, and then he could answer all their doubts, talk about if there are any weaknesses in the system. How likely do you think that we can actually have an open panel situation like this with the government actually asking relevant questions for the future of this? Do you think it's viable? Do you think it's possible? And how much do you think it can actually help us?
I think that is already happening in a sense, because even when if you know that Supreme Court has stalled the judgment till 11th of September for now, and they have asked the government to seek responses from the cryptocurrency businesses themselves, so it's going to come up in that sense that the Supreme Court is also going to factor in the opinion of the people who are actually in the industry before they make a decision. And same for government as well, like government of, in the southern states, especially Telangana, have been exploring, and Andhra Pradesh have been exploring blockchain technology for a while. And now even other government agencies like Niti Aayog are getting involved, and then try the telecom authority is getting involved. So a lot of government, as they're going to get involved, they're going to obviously learn that what it's actually about. A lot of people only see Bitcoin as an economic instrument because it basically is. I mean, Bitcoin is supposed to be it's a currency, right? So people do see it as a way to make more money. And there are of course a lot of shortcomings with Bitcoin in that sense, but as far as the other utility of blockchain is, that is also getting factored in, like we said about Valix as well, that we are exploring identity, and a lot of other businesses are exploring other things as well. So in terms of government, I think they are getting educated already, and it's going to keep happening over time. It's like more of a gradual process rather than one stroke of a hammer. So it's going to happen over time, and I think that will show up in the way they define the regulations as well.
Okay, great, nice. So so what you're saying is that the 11th of September, how crucial a day do you think that's going to be for the big picture?
First of all, I don't think that the judgment is going to come out on 11th September. I mean, let's believe it. It's the Indian Supreme Court. It takes time for the judgments to come out. So in that sense, I don't think it's going to be that crucial, because it'll probably get further stalled, at least, I mean, like till next year or something.
Okay.
So in that sense, I don't think it's going to be crucial at the particular date. But as far as the judgment goes, it's going to be really crucial. I mean, like Supreme Court's word is like the final word in a sense in India. I mean, like government will need to have a really strong reason to go against it. And unless and I mean, like the only way to kind of nullify a Supreme Court judgment will be to make a law. So they will finally have to make it. So either way, it's going to be really crucial in that sense that finally things are going to be settled in.
And speaking about settling in, we know that there's a huge fear about money laundering and all that. That's like the global rhetoric against cryptocurrencies. So people just seem to be scared, especially government entities, scared that people will use cryptocurrencies as a mean for subverting their authority. So do you believe that there's anything that we can do in our community to let the government know that that is not really the case, and that this is actually a tool for empowerment? How can we, in a phrase, clean up our act to make the government know that, okay, we're serious. This is not an anarchist tool. This is actually for empowering people.
In a sense, I do believe that it is anarchist. I mean, at least it started that way.
Of course,
It was people who wanted to avoid the government, authority in terms of money. So it's definitely anarchist in that sense, at least started as such. And that's why a lot of people are against regulation, including Antopolis. He's just said that, you can't exactly regulate Bitcoin. It's not that you want to or you don't want to, you just can't. It's not a possibility. So I think the government also has to accept, in the sense that they can't really always have control over everything, and we have been going more liberal in a lot of things across, and not just money, and even across economic institutions and instruments. So in a way, government has to be fine with it, but there are ways to regulate, and then other governments are regulating. The good thing right now for the Indian government while making the decision is that they're not the first one to doing so. I mean, like they're in fact late to the party, so they can actually look up to the other countries and see what they have done and how they have gone through it, instead of doing everything from scratch, and that will really help them in that sense. So yeah, I think I don't think that the government needs to worry about that much, because even in India, I mean, like you can do a lot of laundering with cash, and a lot of it does happen. Like Hawala transactions, what are called, are really popular in India as well. So bad things are happening anyway. It's just people who want to do it will find any way to do it. It's not Bitcoin or cash which is responsible for it. And in fact, Bitcoin can be better regulated than cash at least.
Thanks. I think that's what you just said is really important for a lot of people to actually hear, because just because it's easy to transfer cash doesn't mean that the money laundering is happening there, because it's already happening all around us. And it's a really valid point that people really need to be taking on board before they actually criticize Bitcoin as a tool for this. So thanks a lot. I think we can move on from the regulation side to now, your reporting side, because as someone who's got their finger on the pulse of all the cryptocurrency news, I'm sure that for you it's probably a challenge to cut out a lot of the noise in the space as well. So for the viewers out there who we want to be skeptical about everything that they read, what advice would you have for them? Like, how can they look around and see whether or not this news is real or not, especially regarding cryptocurrency, since it's moving so fast? There's so much news on a daily basis. How do people look at this news critically and make decisions for themselves? What questions should they be asking themselves?
I think cryptocurrency related news, most vulnerable to fake news, especially because it's about trading and it's not regulated. And if you see cryptocurrency media, then it is also, very similar. So you have thousands of, cryptocurrency and blockchain publication. You just take the word crypto, add something, add any suffix to it, and then you have got a publication. And you can't always trust information, and there is a lot of selling and buying as well. So you can't always tell that which is paid news, which is fake news, which is real news. So many times happens, that even people from my team at Valix or people from other teams, they're like, oh, is this real news, is fake news? So they have to run it by, someone who will know probably more into the field, and before they can decide whether it's actual news, but that's what's happening. There's so much of stuff out there. I think what most people really need to watch out for is the paid ICO news that actually comes out as, regular news. So there's always that, oh, this thing is being put on blockchain, that thing is being put on blockchain, and then everything is being put on blockchain, but it's not, just starting an ICO and saying that it's being put on blockchain does not actually make it, already on blockchain. In fact, when you actually start experimenting, like even at Valix, we don't just say that we have put it on blockchain because we have been trying for a long time and we have been, doing a test network, but it's really, really difficult to make things work on blockchain. And if you do understand it, then, don't just go about believing that it's already there or it's working. So the worst kind of news is definitely that, the ICO kind of news that just goes about that, oh, this ICO is doing this, or and this ICO has raised this many millions or this many billions or whatever. So I think this kind of news that you kind of want to stay away from. Also the kind of news that, a lot of publications that pick up that are about, they're not exactly coming from a verified source. You just you've got something about something, and then, about regulations or about anything, unless that they have cited their source or that it's coming from a publication that you are already find reliable, then trust it. Otherwise, don't trust it. Because a lot of people are just reproducing news without really thinking about it. You can always see that. Like for example, I once made a mistake in my article at TW. I accidentally, instead of translating, I think 96 Bitcoin to $600K, I instead said $6 million, and then a bunch of other publications covered it and made the same mistake because they probably copied my article. So they, it's kind of what happens in the cryptocurrency space, and that's what I found so funny about it, that, just because I made a mistake, then people just kept repeating it. So although it got corrected in my article, it didn't get corrected. And I think that's really funny, and that's really how you should see cryptocurrency news, that, a lot of people are just doing it for traffic or for promotion. They don't really put in the kind of efforts that they should in their journalism. And so you really need to choose your news, and select very few publications and keep with them. So that's what I also focus on when I do my journalism as well, that, to kind of stay away from that kind of news and focus on things that are actually happening in blockchain and cryptocurrency.
Great. Thanks. See, folks, I'd like to remind you, I will repeat, do not trust all the news you read. Verify, verify, verify. And if you're just joining us late right now, this is an interview with Neer Varshney, who writes for The Next Web, based in Amsterdam. She lives in India, she lives in Delhi, and she reports on the cryptocurrency news that's happening all over the world, but she has a nice Indian twist on all her reporting. The link to her writer page is in the description, so you can always have a click and check it out. We've been talking about regulation and news reporting in the cryptocurrency space, and we are now going to continue with the news reporting. So Neer, got another question for you. What sort of news do you think is severely underreported in cryptocurrency? What sort of stuff do people need to be focusing on more?
I think what is severely underreported is actual verification of the claim. For example, you have got companies making huge announcements, like Verge Currency did it, and Coinbase does it, or any currency, whether reliable or unreliable. A lot of cryptocurrency businesses come up with these huge announcements, and then it gets repeated in the media a lot that, Coinbase has done this, or they have done this, or, EOS has done this. But then no one really looks into it, whether they have actually done it or not. Okay. So I think what is severely underreported is what kind of claims have the companies achieved that they set out to do, For example, by, I think ICOs, what have the earliest ICOs achieved? For example, how many people have looked into it? How much has EOS achieved with their platform in spite of raising $4 billion? How much has Civic achieved? How much has, Bangor achieved? Anyone, and what kind of product they have built? I think that's people don't focus on it at all. That, if you did raise so much money and promised to build amazing things on blockchain, then where are those products? Because as of now, nothing much other than Bitcoin is working. I mean, even Ethereum is not properly working, although they're probably working hard on it. I'm not trying to say that, they're not working or that they are not, but it's not working. Ethereum was built for dApps and it's not working for that. EOS has been a nightmare pretty much since it launched. And then, you kind of need to focus on reporting on that. And I think that is severely underreported in the media overall.
Thank you for all that. And I would like you to just have center stage now to give yourself a bit of a personal plug. Talk about your projects in the space, talk about your vision for this space, and just let the people know exactly what you think about what's going to happen and how you feel you can contribute.
So I think as a cryptocurrency space, it has been like what is, so Bitcoin's white paper came in 2009 and now we are 9 years into it approximately. So the thing about this is that it's still new, in a sense. It has been 9 years, but it's still, it's sort of picking up now over the past year. And I don't think that, the small price fluctuations mattered that much, even if Bitcoin is worth half of what it was late last year, It doesn't matter unless you are a day trader and then, that's what you do. It doesn't matter for the rest of the people that if the price is fluctuating a little bit. It's about believing in the technology in long term. And I think a lot of things are going to happen with blockchain, and probably the way you see it now is not the way it's going to look in 5 years, from now. So if you are investing in the space and if you want to invest long term into it, then focus on projects that you believe will last long term, that are actually building something, because in long term they will matter. And in short term, of course, day trading is entirely different. So I don't want to, focus on that because the goal of that is just making money in short term. But yeah, for long term, that's what matters. That you need to pick out projects, and then bigger companies are also moving in now. So with Facebook, Google, and then you've got Goldman Sachs, you've got so many, JP Morgan, and everyone is just chiming in now. And New York Stock Exchange is also probably going to start their own exchange. And then Line also did that, earlier to start a cryptocurrency exchange. So with all of these companies, now coming in, it will be a lot more competition, and then you'll probably see better product developments than before, because now that initial hype is clearing up, and then a lot of people are coming in, a lot of cryptocurrency regulations are getting defined. So in that sense, everything is sorting out now, and I think it's really a great time for cryptocurrencies in that sense. And so yeah, and it's really interesting. I think what's really interesting is that to see the use of blockchain technology other than building just plain currencies, and then use them as ecosystem tokens or currencies. That's also really interesting. So what the different governments that have been experimenting with it, or different things like that. What we try to do with Valix.id and what we are doing right now is to sort of build an identity platform. So India has a big identity problem right now with 1.2 billion people, and although there have been some experimentations with, especially from the government side, with Aadhaar card and stuff like that. But it has not exactly worked out in that sense. For example, if you know what Aadhaar card is, it's just basically a biometrics card, right? That attaches everything you have, your identity, to a single number. And it has worked out great in that sense. Now, it has made things really convenient. You can go anywhere, and then with your Aadhaar, it's so much easier. You can get a passport much easier. You can get government schemes much easier. So everything is great in that sense. But what is missing from it is, it's more control for the people. Like there have been frequent hacks that have been happening to Aadhaar. If you, in fact, Google it, Aadhaar and privacy, you will get a lot of news reports that, Aadhaar information has been selling for as little as $5 for one person, and that's really overwhelming in that sense, that your identity can be defrauded in that sense. So I think that's a major problem that needs to be solved out. Otherwise, I think Aadhaar is great. And then I think there was a report from UIDAI, the agency itself, that Aadhaar has saved the government $1 billion, and I don't really doubt it. I mean, it must have, because it makes things really convenient. But has it made things convenient for the people? is what it is about, because everyone wants to have control over their data, over their information. And I think that's where blockchain is really useful. So the idea for Valixar ID was something similar, that we'll do something like Aadhaar, but in a much bigger and much decentralized sense of blockchain, where no information is retained with Valixar ID as an intermediary, unlike the government's Aadhaar card, and the information just transacts from one person to another person through a blockchain ledger in a private and secure manner. So that's what we have been doing, and a trial app is out already on the App Store, Google App Store, and an iOS app is coming soon. So you can probably test it by yourself and see how you like it. But a lot of work is under progress right now, and then you can keep seeing it. You'll see it over months.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Neer. So all the links, including the link to the app in the App Store, is going to be in my description, folks. So scroll down, have a look at it. And Neer, I want to thank you so much for taking your time out of your busy day to have a chat with us. Thank you so much. I'm very grateful for your input. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us. And I'd love to have you back on the channel again. And for all you folks out there, thank you all for watching. If you like this, do like, do subscribe. This is going to be a platform for discussion. So stay tuned, and people, keep watching Crypto Simplified, and we'll catch you folks very, very soon. Laters. So folks, I should be clicking on the raffle to get a random winner. If there is no Daedalus wallet address in the comment, I should click again until we finally get someone who has included their Daedalus wallet address. So folks, here goes. Congratulations to Justin Dayhoff. You are now the winner of 188 tokens. Congratulations. I do hope you like the content, and thank you so much for the comment as well. So let me read out his comment. Great video about the basics of Cardano. I've been a fan of the project for a while, and it was a good refresher. You got my subscription. Thank you, Justin. Welcome aboard. So folks, there will be more giveaways as I hit more milestones on this channel. So please keep watching, keep telling your friends, and why not click on that bell button to get notifications from yours too. And folks, take care. We'll catch up very soon. Later.